Hi, welcome to Concussion Talk Podcast, presented by Head Check Health. Head Check Health bridges gaps in concussion care through simple, powerful technology to organizations like the Canadian Football League, Track Factory Racing, the Canadian Junior Hockey League, Eastern Western University, and Volleyball Canada. Rely on Head Check to improve communication and optimize care. Visit headcheckhealth.com for more. So I'm Nick Mercer. Welcome to episode 162. I'm with Pam Prewett, the executive director of the Victoria Brain Injury Society, and we will be talking soon because Victoria is where I had my brain injury 20 years ago, almost exactly today. So we're recording this, so actually August 1st. So not today is August. We are recording this August 4th, so it's been 20 years and 3 days. I was deep in my coma by now, but before that, just remind everybody to please follow me on social media. So at Concussion Doc, wherever, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever it's called now. Threads, LinkedIn, Nick Mercer, Concussion Doc. Just search Concussion Doc on Google. That'll probably increase my visibility there. So and on YouTube too. And yeah, so now all this blather, I'll get to Pam Prewett. So Pam, thank you so much for joining me and for being on this podcast. And we can hear about the Victoria Brain Injury Society. And
Oh,
I've actually been looking at the website and also, so I'll have some. But first, I guess you're the executive director, so the perfect one to tell us what you guys do at Victoria Brain Injury Society, and I guess where you are, your website, and all that stuff, just so people can get a good
sure.
grasp.
Hi, Nick. Thanks for having me. We are the Victoria Brain Injury Society, and our website is vbis.ca. So check out our website. What we do, our mission is actually to provide personalized and group support, advocacy, education, and housing assistance to brain injury survivors and their families, and also to promote community awareness about brain injury. We operate in the Capital Region District of Victoria, so we are serving clients from Port Renfrew to the south of the Malahat and in between. So all of the regions of Victoria, all of the municipalities, and we see about 650 clients, new clients each year.
Wow, that's
Yeah, so it's a busy place. We offer a lot of programs and services. So we have a really robust peer support program. We offer peer support from Monday to Thursday. We have a women's group on Mondays. We do individual case management with clients who are working on goals, whether that be filling out forms like PWD, person with disability forms, or housing assistance. We do we have a program called ABI 101 or Acquired Brain Injury 101, which is a 4-week program that runs 2 hours a week, once a week, 2 hours for 4 weeks. That's like a starter program for people that want to learn about the brain and what a healthy brain looks like and what a brain after an injury looks like and the differences in between. We do coping strategies, which is a 6-month program, again, once a week, 2 hours a week, where you literally learn coping strategies with your new brain. And we do other programs that are run by either staff or volunteers. We have a really good music therapy program. We do art therapy. We have an equine assisted learning program where we work with horses out on the farm in the Saanich Peninsula. And then we do yoga, mindfulness, and we do a lot of workshops. We do workshops once a month for our clients. So there's always something going on.
geez, you guys have a lot of. I looked at your website, see, and I was checking up the all the what you services, and you also provide concussion support services, and yeah, and I was actually very interested also the Shine program, the Shine the schools,
Yep.
the was the students for head injury,
Yeah.
students
Student head injury
great
neuroeducation.
nerd. Yeah, so can you just explain that? That's just fat. That's just great.
Yeah, that one's a really good one. So that one started as a research program with the UVic Concussion Lab. We do a lot of work with UVic in the Christie lab up there. And so they were running a research program just to see the retention of education in students when we went into the classes and talked to grade 12
Were
students.
they looking at nurse or that university students or just only grade 12? Only one.
Just they were actually starting with younger kids, and then we went in. Now, what we do is we go to grade 12 classes, and
Yeah.
we're trying. We want to branch out. What we'd love to do ideally is go into grade 8 and then go into grade 12 and see what they've learned, what they've retained over that
Right.
time
Right.
from within programs. So when we do that with sports teams as well, so that one goes into schools and to local sports teams. We're trying to target now parents of kids
That's a good
so
idea.
that they can learn about concussion.
Yeah. Especially for the kids under with kids are definitely are under 18. So it'd be good for the if she was parents to take them to the hospital and stuff and admit them. So it'd be great for them to
Yeah,
know what they're coming up against. And
exactly. And also like what a concussion is. Like a lot
yeah,
of people don't really understand that concussion is a brain injury
yeah,
and you can't treat it and just go back to like you wouldn't break your arm and just go back to doing whatever you were normally doing. You have to take care of
yeah,
your broken bones. So brain's the same thing. You have to take care of your brain and you have to let it heal. So a lot
yeah.
of people don't realize that, especially in sports.
They don't. I'm sure that's where a lot of your programming to shine and also going to sports teams and talking to them. That's almost I'd say almost exclusively what it's about. But I also want to talk about because you guys are partnered with the well with secondary education, so with Camosun College and with UVic, and also with health facilities such as the Gorge Hospital, which is a rehab clinic hospital in BC, I guess. It's in Vancouver and Victoria, but also the Victoria General Hospital. So you're better. You know exactly who you're partnering with. So can you please explain to us who you're partnering with and
Yeah,
what they give you?
yeah, that's a great question. So we actually do go into the outpatient neuro rehab unit at the Victoria General Hospital. So that's the unit that people with
Oh yes,
very new, yeah, you're probably very
I know it
familiar with
well.
5N, yeah.
Yeah,
So we do outreach there once a month with our education coordinator, and then we also do peer support in the hospital. So we have a couple of peer support volunteers who are volunteers that have lived experience with brain injury and they get a little bit of extra training, but they will go into the hospital once a week and meet with the client or with the patients up there and just talk about, it's just an opportunity for people that are in 5N, which is the outpatient neuro rehab, to talk to somebody who's been through what they're going through with a new brain injury and just say, like, this is what VBIS is here for you when you come out. Because a lot of people don't know about VBIS, which is what we call ourselves.
I was gonna
So
say VBIS, but VBIS is
VBIS,
that's
yeah.
sounds better. Yeah.
A little easier to say. So yeah, so that's a really important program, and just making sure when Jordan, our education coordinator, goes and does outreach there once a month, she'll often speak with family members and she'll speak with staff at 5Ns just so that they're aware that we're available once people get out of neuro rehab. One of the physiotherapist there who is a real champion of ours, she described it perfectly. She said, you come to 5N after you're newly injured and it's like camp, everything you've got people working with you and you're doing your rehab. And then you get out of camp and where do you go? You have nowhere to
Yeah.
go. You don't know what to do. So it's really important for people to know that VBIS is there so that we can find you the supports you need, or we can be part of your community and you can come to our organization, come to peer support, have a cup of coffee and be with people who know what you're going through.
I remember actually when I was in Victoria for only for well, I was there for 8 months. Well, I guess 8.5 months really. But that was really, I was in the hospital in Victoria General Hospital for 6 weeks and going for two, so I can't really say when I said I remembered 5M, I just spent a lot of time there. Doesn't mean I remembered it because I was, just kind of a coma. So what do I know? And but I remember Deb, Vizio, and Trig, but I don't know if their band is still there. But that was 20 years ago. I just mentioned earlier. But so I know what you were saying though. It's good for people to know what to expect and give people some education about what's coming up. But I know when I returned, as I was a student, so I returned to Newfoundland, and I was just, and I had it with the family. 'Cause I was, and so it was just great. It was great to be home with my family. So that was important. That was very important for me to be here. But there was so little, 20 years ago, especially, there was so little knowledge here, and so much little support. Like someone like Jordana coming, or Jordan.
Jordan, yeah.
Jordan, I don't know, Jordana was some of the podcasts with someone named Jordana. Anyway, but yeah, but some of the educating about spreading the awareness about what brain injury is and what you can expect. When my parents especially would find that valuable. I was busy worrying about myself then at that time, but they were looking for any information they could find. There was not much there, so I think that's just a great resource to have. And also, and I know I read on the page on your website that the Brain Society started in 1983. Now I'm not going to say I don't. You didn't start in '83, but have you noticed the difference in, say, just in general, or how, since you've been involved with Brain Society, whether or not executive director or not, that you've been noticed a change in the education, the awareness, or how, or even how it's approached by medical professionals or whoever. If you,
Yeah, so definitely come a long way, but I would say we definitely have a long way to go.
yeah,
It's quite shocking to me how many medical professionals I'll come across that don't know about, well, don't know about UPS, but don't know about brain injury, don't understand that concussion is a brain injury. It's definitely getting better, and we're seeing it a lot more. Like sports is starting to recognize it more.
yeah,
National hockey is recognizing it more. The government is starting to recognize that intersection between brain injury, homelessness, addiction, mental health, because it's all tied in together. And so the good part is the government's starting to recognize that brain injury is a chronic
yeah,
condition.
yeah.
So that's huge because that helps us with funding. But I think there's a long way to go, but we definitely have come a long way.
I was just, you want to talk about funny as I mentioned earlier, but before that, before you just said that because we recently talked. I had the NLBA, the Newfoundland Labrador Brain Association, which I'm on the board of. We had them, but they were doing a podcast every week, and we talked to the RNC, the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary here, so about intimate partner violence. So because I noticed you have a relationship program in your brain injury awareness program in your, so you talk about that. I'm sure that program is focused almost solely on IPV. So intimate partner violence. So could you talk about that program? Do you have a available at Victoria VBIS? Such thing right now.
Yeah, so we've started this program. It's a pilot program. The Cridge Center in Victoria also has home housing for people who have brain injury and are survivors of intimate partner violence. So Jordan is talked to them, and also with the Greater Victoria, or the Victoria Women's Transition House, and created a program to. The goal is to educate frontline workers about brain injury and intimate partner violence and what brain injury might look like and the prevalence of brain injury in survivors of intimate partner violence. So it's trying to get in front of all the frontline workers like police, ambulance, fire, who might be dealing directly with survivors of intimate partner violence and need to recognize what a brain injury might look like so that they can offer further help to those people that have suffered a brain injury through intimate partner violence.
Right. Yeah, I think that's very important, and we recognize that that's an issue that's really not really explored. I mean, it's explored by some people, and it's been explored well, but it has been. But I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done there. So I think that's a very important aspect. And but return now to funding, which of course for my local Newfoundland Labrador Brain Injury Association, we're in desperate need of funding. So can you just I know you guys have partnerships with they just already mentioned it, university and the college and the hospitals. So and but you're still being that still you're still I mean Victoria and Terranea is bigger than Newfoundland and Labrador, our province, all of it. So so there's obviously there's the resources in terms of population wise. Be if a bigger, very big, a big board and a big volunteer base and lots of really good, really excellent programs. It sounds like. So talk about your challenges with funding and what you think are the major hurdles for funding.
Yeah, definitely funding is number one for sure. I can appreciate what
Yeah.
when you say that. We have a service agreement with the brain injury program through Island Health, which is our regional health authority. So we have a service contract with them that we provide some services that they're not able to. So they have a brain injury program through Island Health. It's a little bit more restrictive to get into that program than it is to come to our program. We don't require proof of brain injury at VBIS because we want to keep it as low barrier as possible. So we do, some of our services are funded by Island Health. And then we also receive funding from the Brain Injury Alliance, which is a provincial organization made up of member agencies that are brain organizations in BC. I actually sit on the board of that organization. So we get funding from the Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions, and then we allocate that to member organizations. We have to apply for that we just received 3-year funding. So that's pretty exciting that we've been, yeah, huge for us. And then the majority of the other top funder is just grants from other organizations. So I do a lot of grant writing in our office. And then we rely a lot on donations as well from individual donors. But yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I know it's just I think our problem is mostly the whole chicken before the egg, cart before the horse thing, like the whole whatever terminology you want to use. It's you can't you as a brain injury association goal is to raise awareness. You can't and by raising awareness you raise probably profile of yourself and they'll get funding, but you can't get funding unless you raise profile yourself. So it's like I said, it's a whole cart before the horse, chicken and egg thing.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you get you have other partners who are other donors or corporate sponsors at all, or do you rely on donors from individuals?
Individual donors, we have a big gala every year, so that's a big part of our funding. And then, like I said, I do a lot of grant writing. I try and hire summer students to do grant writing. We have a fantastic summer student this year who's just doing a great job writing grants, and I would love to keep him, but he got accepted into medical school. If you can believe it, he's choosing that over writing grants at VBIS.
People. But yeah, so actually, I want to ask you about because you've discussed, you mentioned the programs. So get you, we want to learn about and to hear what you say about your under if you go to vbis.org.ca, sorry, vbis.ca, so vbis.ca, and you go to how we can help. There's a list of some of your resources here. So I guess I'll go through them. Or do you have a favorite one that you want to start with, or should I start? I'll start with concussion and brain injury courses. So do you want to talk?
Sorry, which one?
Concussion and brain injury courses.
Oh yeah, so that's the ABI 101 course. That or coping. I'm gonna look on my cheat sheet too.
Yeah, no problem.
The coping program is really, we've had such great feedback about it because it's usually a small group under 10 people, and they go through the 6 months together, and they kind of start learning from each other too. So somebody will have a trick that, or a life hack that they've learned to work with their brain injury, and they'll share it with the group, and then everybody learns it. And then once you finish coping, you can take coping again, or there's a drop-in program called Carrying On with Coping, and they meet every 2 weeks, and it's just drop-ins, so you can come or go, and it's generally a bigger group, because once you finish coping, you can take that one. So that's a good like a good community one, where you're the people that go to those programs get really close
And
and really form a bond.
are they all brain injured? Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we have a program facilitator who facilitates it, but yeah, all brain injury survivors go to that one.
and even the so move on. Next one is creative arts and movement. Is that also only brain injury survivors, or
Yeah,
okay?
only brain injury survivors.
All the courses under how we can help our or for only brain injury
For
survivors.
brain injury survivors, yes.
Okay,
So we
cool.
do have family programs. Like we have a monthly support group that meets, that's family and caregivers.
Family support, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, and we also do one-on-one with family members if they are working on, goals or as well. The EAL program, the equine assisted learning with the
Yeah.
horses,
Yeah.
that's a pair of people. So it could be a brain injury survivor and another brain injury survivor, or a brain injury survivor and their spouse, or a caregiver or a friend, but it's
Oh,
two people paired with a horse.
and so creative arts movement is I assume dance and fine arts kind of thing, or is it?
That one is music therapy, art therapy, yoga, and mindfulness.
Oh, building mindfulness wonder. Creative arts movement. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And individual support. That's also, and it says family support and individual support are they're in the one they're initially they're like 4 or 5 on the list, but would they be very similar?
Yeah, so that's the individual support with case managers. So when you're working on a goal, that's when you meet with an individual case manager, or you needing support for housing support, because we have a housing coordinator as well. We have a housing program where one of our case managers is dedicated to working to help our clients find housing supports. That's the number one issue with our clients right now.
Do you have a place that you do a place in Victoria? Because I know Victoria a bit, not as well as I would have. I think it was in Braintree first, or halfway through. But is there is there an area of Victoria where you find most people are find best to go to, or they use houses?
We don't have a house right now. That's
No.
something that we would love to do. But
No.
the Cridge has a house for brain injury survivors.
Okay.
It's difficult to get into because it's not a big house and the waiting list is really long. But what we'll do is we'll help with applications to BC Housing, or our housing coordinator has relationships with supportive housing in the city, so he can call and say, what's the wait list like? What have you got rooms for right now? And if we have clients who are in urgent need of housing for the night or for a couple of nights, we can provide support to help them get a um, safe space for the night or two.
Okay, great. That's excellent. And also I see the outreach and research. So, what do you do for? I know you do for outreach. You got Jordan educating a lot of people. I assume that's, I mean, a lot big part of your outreach. But also, what type of research does VBIS do?
What type of research?
Yeah.
Right now we have a staff member who is doing her master's program with UVic through the
Uh,
concussion lab. And so she's working out of our office. She's doing the Train Your Brain program. So
uh,
that's working with a video game, and it increases cognitive abilities. And that one was started as a research project with UVic, and now she's taking it to the next level by doing blood markers as part of her research, her master's program. So you come in twice a week, ideally for 5 weeks, and we've can show that your cognition improves after coming to the program for 5 weeks. And it's just using a 3D video game where you follow the bouncing balls. on the screen. It can be exhausting, but what it does is it uses all 5 lobes. So
Yeah.
it really gets the brain firing, which is a very non-technical or academic way of saying it gets your brain going.
Yeah.
But we can show through research that it does work. So that's a great one. And we're moving that one online as well so that people can access that program, hopefully from across Canada.
Actually, well, I know the last one was Pierce World touched on that after, but I wanted you about get involved. And I know there's a lot of volunteers are come from Sarah Lab and come from UVic, and you were saying that your master's student sorry, does she work with you or she volunteering with you?
She works at the university. Well, right now she's a staff member, but in the fall when her master's program gets going,
She
she
volunteer.
will be working out of UVic and in our office.
Okay.
So we're helping support her get her master's.
You're kind of like the lab.
Yeah, yeah. So she's half in the lab, half with us.
Cool. And so do you find a lot of people come from UVic or wherever else doing their master's or PhD or any sort of even undergrad research? Do you find that a lot of, or you can Wilson College too?
Do you know, we've been really lucky. We've had, we worked with some students out of Royal Roads University who did a project for us as part of their, I think it was a marketing kind of degree. And so they created an online store for us as a project, which we're working on getting that up and going. But that was really interesting. And then we worked with a group out of UVic of STEM students who created an app for brain injury survivors. It's not quite finished yet. They've kept it going, but
Yeah.
that's a specific app for brain injury survivors to navigate our website and make it much easier to navigate for people with a brain injury. So it's not, it's big buttons and not a lot of type
Yeah.
that they need to work through.
I know
Just
it's the print,
simplifying
I
it.
know it's the print is large and I find, I mean, I generally don't have much problem with the websites, but yeah, that one is VBIS is VBIS SCA is very easy to navigate, and I encourage them to go in there. So to end off, I guess we get to get involved or donations and get involved. So do you want to just talk about your volunteers and how you can be a volunteer and how you
Yeah,
can donate?
for sure. So the volunteer program, we've got about 90 maybe about 60 now after COVID
Wow.
volunteers that work with us. And so we love to see students, we love to see any volunteers, so it's so great, but we definitely get more volunteers from the university.
Yeah.
And so it's a kind of a bit of a program. So you start in reception, which is a great way to get to know clients and get to know the
Yeah.
organization because it's quite busy. And then once you've done that for a month, there's opportunity to split off and do specific volunteer roles. So we have a really great in-reach team, and they're the volunteers that do the initial intake appointments with our
Oh,
intake coordinators. So that's the first time that you come to VBIS and you go through and they'll ask you questions about your brain injury. When did you get it? What are your symptoms? What do you want to get out of VBIS? What are you interested in? And explain some of our programs and get you in that way. So that's in-reach volunteers. We have volunteers that will help with the Shine presentations. So going into the schools to present. And then we have volunteers that help with the Train Your Brain program, which is that video game I was telling you about. So
mhm.
they'll work with the clients one-on-one, getting them going with their appointments and that.
Excellent. So as you just want us kind of a cheat for the volunteers, but if someone to come into your in-reach and say what do you hope to get out of Beavis? And they say, I don't know, or I have no idea. What would you say to them? What is your standard response to that? Or
If a client comes in and
yeah,
says,
yeah. It says I just the idea of it's like I don't know, I just wanted to be from here.
want to be part of it, I would say come to peer support. That's a great introduction to VBIS. The peer supporters are the volunteers that have lived experience and receive additional training. So they facilitate the peer support, which is just drop in, come for a cup of coffee. There's no pressure. You can participate in conversations or not. You can just watch. You can get comfortable. They do board games. They have sometimes quite lively conversations, but that's a great introduction to VBIS and just a chance to, meet people and be in an environment with people who get it, who understand what you're going through.
That's excellent. It sounds like a lot. I was talking to Jim Scott in April. He's from New Hampshire, and there's a program there, and I don't want to be a jerk and forget mess up the names, so I'm not going to say it, but the good program from episode whatever 140 something, 145 probably, or no, geez, no, probably more like 150. No, anyway, probably 150. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Anyway, let's say 153 or 54, 154. I'll say. I have no idea, but yeah, but their program like that. That's a very much that's just coming and the people live there, like being around people who are share experiences, and it's great to talk to people who have share experiences, and there's no pressure, and it feels like just perfect community. That's really important to feel part of a community when you're going through something like brain chip, which, as we were saying, awareness is so low. No one really appreciates what you're going through. So it's nice to have people who are, and even more than nice, it's great, amazing to have people who understand that there is something different about a brain injury than just feeling up to it today, thing. So it's
Yeah.
yeah,
And
but
we,
sorry, go ahead, please.
oh yeah, we often it's a invisible disability, right?
Yeah,
People
yeah,
can't tell from looking at you that you have a brain injury and so they have expectations that you'll be able to, I don't know,
yeah,
act like you don't have a brain injury, but sometimes you need people to talk slower, or you need
yeah,
people to use, simpler language. And then people don't understand. Like, what do you mean you can't understand me?
yeah.
It's an invisible disability.
But
So
they need the volume lowered or the light to be less,
yeah, exactly.
something like that. That's just doesn't coordinate, doesn't go with anything they think, because it's all like your eyes look fine. Like, why do you need the light down? Or do you have are you deaf or something? Do you need the light, just the sound adjuster? Or you have trouble, you bust your eardrum? Like, no, it's just I can't take it, or
Yeah,
need,
exactly. Or what do you mean you're tired? It's only
yeah,
9 a.m.
yeah,
Well,
yeah. Do you not sleep last night? No, I slept like 10 hours, but I just for 8 hours. But I'm just my brain is not up to it. But
yeah.
yeah, so these are just things that I know that I was hearing a lot of on this podcast. And remember from my time is more acute, but like I said, it's been 20 years for me. So I've been lucky enough to be around and be happy with that amount of time that I've kind of, I'm mostly moved on from that because it's always with me. But like, it's just that I recognize that and understand different people that they may have trouble with, and it's not who they are; it's just a fact of life that just, yeah. So
Yep.
I know, but I guess I'll end with donations. So if people want to donate to VBIS, Victoria Brain Society, which has been Pam has actually explained. So please, I encourage everyone to donate to them and to donate to, if you're on the West Coast. If you're on the East Coast, donate to the Land Rover Range Association. But on the West Coast, so Vivus is, how would you donate to Vivus?
Go to vbis.ca and then click on the donate button at the very top, or you can give us a call at 250-598-9339. And our wonderful receptionist, Anna, or our office operations manager, Miles, would be happy to chat with you and take a donation over the phone.
That's great, and I guess so. Thank you so much, Pam, for being on this podcast. So Pam Prewett, the executive director of VBIS, Victoria Brain Injury Society, and do you want to please just say the name of the website again? The website
It,
once more.
yep, vbis.ca.
There you go. So please, you can go there, hit the donate button, and just check out everything, all the programs they offer, and all the services. So and if you're so inclined, please, I mean, not if you're so inclined, I just encourage you to please visit NLBIA, NLBIA .ca, which is Newfoundland and Labrador Brain Injury Association. And please, we need support, so please, anything with donations, which anything, but like, well, anything, yes, donations wise, but like if you're a corporation, if you're a business and you want to support, sponsor a organization that needs it, I would encourage you to please sponsor that one. But for this podcast, I encourage also everyone to please support and reach out to the Victoria Brain Injury Society, so VBIS.ca. And thank you so much. Hopefully you'll tune in. I'm not sure when I'll do it again because I don't really do many summer podcasts, but I will do one again. I'm not sure when, but I'll be back in September full force. So yeah, so until then. So thank you so much.